Hey everybody, welcome to the Premier Life Podcast. This is Dr. Nate, and I'm ready to share some great life-changing information that's going to help you with your mindset, but also help you with your healing journey. Are you guys ready? Let's go. So the title of today's podcast is Adjust Your Mindset. And so this is such a crucial part of the healing, and a lot of people overlook it because the mind is something that's immaterial, right? It's not something that you can physically see to say like, hey, I'm here with my mindset and, this is where we're going to go, right? It's also something that's changing and it's very dynamic, right? And so really, I want to stress today that your mindset has a much bigger impact on your health than you've ever really thought before. And so, there's so many ways that people, can fall down the hill of health, right? Whether that be the food that we eat, to the air we breathe, to the way that we move, there's countless ways that our body can experience some form of adaptive stress that is going to cause change to our physiology and cause harm, right? The important thing to understand about each of those different things is that all of those have an emotional and mental sidebar that is going to be going along with those events. The reason why mental health and mindset is so crucial is because, even more so than physical or, chemical toxins and trauma, is that, maybe you fall and you scrape your knee once, right? Or maybe you have McDonald's for lunch one day, right? And it affects your physiology. When you're under emotional stress, that's something that you can relive and experience countless times over. Right? I guarantee you that there might be something maybe that happened years ago that you're still rerunning in your mind today that's causing that stress to still be present because your mind has trouble discerning what's in the current reality and what happened in the past. Okay? So because of that countless repeatability, that has unimaginable effects on your health. And so today we're going to work on making sure that we have a winning mindset that allows you to heal whatever you're facing. Okay? So here we go. Before we really get into, peak restoration and peak mental health, I want you guys to understand that, Premier Health or Premier Life is, we're not really just invested in the physical restoration of the body. A lot of people, when they go to chiropractic offices or they go to functional medicine offices, they really primarily heal on just the physical. And the reason why, it's important to heal fully, from the mind, body, spirit aspect is that there's no true holistic healing without the healing of all three of those aspects. And so, and that goes again, when you change patterns in your mind, you change patterns in your life. And so unless you change your mind, you're going to have difficulty changing the outcomes that are on the far end of output, whether it be physical behaviors or, mental rehearsals and things like that. And so, changing how we think can be a lot more than just recanting words in the mirror. Right? It can be a lot more than reading the latest self-help book. It can be a lot more than sitting on a Chase lounge and talking with a therapist. All of which are perfectly fine. I have no qualms with any of those things. But if you truly want to, help your body heal and change your mindset, I'm going to give you guys some unconventional ways to do that. Before we do that, I want to share a story. Is that okay with you guys? Awesome. So, I want to tell you Miles' story. And so Miles was 7 years old at the time. His parents brought him in because he had been wetting the bed. And this kid was probably one of the most anxious kids I'd ever met. Like, this kid was constantly biting on his nails. Whenever I'd be talking with his mom, he would always be super alert. Like, what are you guys talking about? What are you saying? Always want to be in on the conversation. Very quiet and withdrawn kid. He had trouble finding friends in school because of his urinary issues and had trouble really connecting with socially as well. So when he came into our office, we were working on changing his lifestyle to help get the stress out of his system, right? So we had changed up his diet. He was getting regularly adjusted. We were doing all these things, and we did see some improvement in his ability to control his bladder and his anxiety. However, it was still present. It went from maybe a 9 out of 10 to probably about a 4 or 5 out of 10, right? And so it wasn't until one day that Miles chose to do something different that he saw that healing potential. And so at this old clinic that I was at, it was a super fun clinic. We saw a lot of kids, and we had this rock wall that was actually in our clinic. And every time that Miles would come in, he would run over to the rock wall. He would jump on the very first rock, about 6 inches off the ground. He'd hold on for dear life, and then he would fall down onto the foam pad. And that's as far as he would go. And I remember one day talking with Miles, saying, man, can you imagine what it would be like if you made it up to the top? Can you imagine what it would feel like? It'd feel pretty awesome, right? And it took him a minute, and he said, you know what, I think I'm going to try to go up to the top. And I said, great, I'll be right behind you, and I'll make sure that you can make it all the way up to the top. So Miles got on the first rock, second rock, third rock, and he climbed all the way up to the top. And he looked back and he made sure that I was behind him halfway through. And when he made it up to the top, he climbs down, he scales down carefully, and he gets down to the bottom and he says, I made it! Can you believe it? The pure joy on his face was just, beyond expression, right? And something in his mind changed that day. Something in his central nervous system decided that it was okay to have the courage to explore something new, something that was difficult, something that was unfamiliar, something that was scary, but something that was worth it, right? And after that moment that he had touched down again, I said, why don't you try it again? I'm going to step back a little bit. I want you to try it again. He climbs up. I step back a little bit further. Go try again, Miles. He went again. He probably climbed that wall 50 times that day. And when his mom came back, didn't even recognize who their kid was. I said, look at your son over there. He was climbing up and down the wall like crazy. The really cool story about that is that his mind didn't just change that day. After that day, he did not wet the bed a single time. Not only that, and it was completely uncharacteristic for Miles, but because of how withdrawn he was and how social anxiety had affected his life to that point, when they got home that day, Miles grabbed the football from his house. He walked across the street to the neighbor's house, knocked on their door, and asked the boy that was in the house there if he wanted to play catch out in the street. After that day, he was a completely different kid. And so the really cool part is that if you're willing to change your mind, you can see life change. If Miles can see it, you can see it too. Every single person, as long as you still have breath in your lungs, your body can heal, your mind can heal, and God can heal your spirit, right? And so it just takes time, and it takes patience, and it takes, the courage to be able to step into that new life that you're being called to. So here are some ways that, really you can overcome things. And again, you might not have the problem with wetting the bed, right? You might not have the problem with social anxiety. Maybe you have the problem with depression. Maybe you have the problem of addiction. Maybe you have a relational problem. Maybe you have, there's countless issues that can be thought of. And even beyond mental issues, maybe it's a pain pattern, right? Maybe it's an autoimmune issue. Maybe it's something that's, uncharacteristic, that you might not think that might be connected to the mind. However, your mindset towards that problem is keeping you from seeing the healing that you could be seeing, right? So here are 5 ways that you can help change your mind. You guys ready? Number 1, I want you guys to visualize the victory. Just like Miles did when we were talking and I asked him, can you imagine what it would feel like? at the top of the rock climb. Can you imagine, how awesome it's going to be, right? Imagine every single time that you, whether you're going in to get adjusted or, you're doing some sort of health act that's moving you towards your goals. I want you to visualize the victory. Number 2, supplementing the mind, right? So I promise you guys that, what you eat has an effect on your mindset. If you don't believe that, go eat McDonald's for a week and see if you're not depressed after that. Right? So take for different supplements that are really excellent for mind and body health, I always recommend B vitamins, finding an excellent B complex. Make sure that they're methylated. Those are the active form that your body can readily use. Specifically thiamine, which is B1, and niacin, which is B3. B6 and B12 in the methylated forms as well are excellent. Really just finding a whole food form of the B complex is really ideal. Another supplement would be omega-3 fatty acids. Most of the DHA in your body is in your brain, and so your brain has a ton of it in it. It uses it all the time. There are lots of clinical studies that connect omega-3 fatty acid use to anxiety, depression, showing it to be really beneficial. Another one that you could also take would be creatine. And so a lot of meatheads know creatine because they use it in their pre-workout routine. It's really great for muscles, but it's also really excellent for your brain for a quick energy standpoint. And so there's a lot of research on that with brain health as well. Number 3, outrunning negative thoughts. When you exercise, when you go for a run, your body will burn stress hormones out of your hippocampus and out of your brain. And so this is why a lot of times when people go for a run, they might say that I'm going to go clear my head, right? Or I'm going to go clear my mind. That's actually physically happening every single time you go for a run. And so that's why it's excellent to go for a run. You don't have to do a sprint. You don't have to, it could be something as simple as a walk, right? But ideally a run that goes for at least 15 to 20 minutes. That's going to be most ideal for your mental health. Number 4, being open to change. This might be the biggest thing that you can possibly do, is being open to change. A lot of people are resolved in their mind that their body won't heal, and sometimes they get that from a medical provider. Sometimes they get that from a relative, a friend, and maybe they're pessimistic because they've experienced their own medical challenges or their own health challenges and they haven't seen the breakthrough yet. And maybe they say like, oh man, you're too old to be doing that, or oh, of course you're experiencing that, it's just coming with age, or some sort of limitation that they're speaking over you, right? And I just urge you to the strongest degree, be open to change, right? Be open to the possibility that your body can heal. If I ask you, do you think that your body can heal from that? Do you think that your mind can heal from that? If you feel like the answer inside you is no, there has to be some sort of switch in your body that you believe that your body can change. The biggest thing that you can do is find somebody that has overcome a similar challenge and ask them their story. The more stories that you can hear that of success, that of somebody overcoming a similar challenge, and guys, I guarantee you, like, no matter what it is, right? No matter what it is, there is always somebody out there that is experiencing something similar to what you have. And odds are that they've experienced some form of success with it, right? And so look for those stories, search them out, be open. Number 5, consistent neurological adjustments. So this has a lot to do with the physiology of the neurology, right, of your brain. And with the chiropractic adjustment, what you're physically changing is the brainstem, the cerebellum, and the frontal lobe. When you see those changes in those areas of the brain and the brainstem, those things are so tightly knit with your emotional centers that, when you get adjusted, it changes the mindset, it changes the outlook that you have, right? And so that not only controls a lot of those different areas, but it also controls blood flow to the brain. It controls CSF flow, which is the watery substance that your brain floats in. It changes a lot of these metabolic factors. And so a lot of times when somebody doesn't necessarily see success with supplement change, with exercise, a lot of times what they're missing is the neurological communication from brain to body. And so when you get adjusted, you're rapidly and consistently changing the neurology in your body to be able to accept a new pattern. And that helps a lot with anxiety, depression. There's a lot of research that's coming out that shows that chiropractic helps with addiction. It helps with depression, anxiety, and things like that. Really cool research. All right, guys. So with those 5 things, you're ready to take the next step towards changing your mindset. I hope this was a great podcast. I hope that you're ready to make that transformational change. Thank you guys for listening, and be on the lookout for our next episode next week. Thanks, guys. Have a great week.